What's up, heathens? How ya doing? Today we have Shock of God. He is going to be making the argument that atheists are the actual zombies and his magical savior deity, Jesus, is in fact not a zombie despite being raised from the dead after 3 days, which seems to kind of fit the bill for a zombie depending on how he was raised. So I don't know. I've got a little bit of a clip here from the very beginning of the video that we're going to watch. Let's see what he has to say.
Beautiful wine country on this motorcycle that just popped into existence after a massive explosion.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
So, tonight we have Shock of God. If you're new to Shock of God, he loves to get on his bike and ride across California. He also gives instructions on how to ride a bike, although in this particular video, I wouldn't go by his example because he wears shorts. Don't wear shorts on a bike. That's all. I mean, you would think that that would be like a duh statement, but he doesn't wear, he's not wearing pants in this video. I know that it gets hot out there, but that's just one of the things you got to do to protect yourself. So let's see what Shock of God has for us.
As you know, I have been challenging atheists all around the world to answer one simple question. You know the question, what proof and evidence can you provide that would finally at last prove that atheism is accurate and correct? And do you know no atheist has been able to answer that question?
All right, so I got this first part in here because it's not that we can't answer the question, it's that that's not the claim that we're making. So it's akin to me asking you to prove the purple and pink striped elephant that's always on the front of your bike. Like, that's not a claim that you're making, so therefore there's no point in you answering it because you're not saying anything to indicate that you have that position. I'm not saying that atheism is accurate and correct. I admit that I could be wrong about it, but I don't believe that a God exists. I don't see evidence that a God exists. So you're basically issuing a straw man challenge to the entire atheist community. You're not getting answers because everybody's looking around the room like, the fuck is this guy talking about? That's not anything that we're saying. We do have arguments against your arguments for your God, and we don't believe in your God, but that's not the same thing as saying we think that atheism is accurate and correct.
And then they'll say, tell me one thing that I can't do as an atheist that you can do as a Christian. In other words, they'll say they don't need God. They can do everything as an atheist. Christopher Hitchens, before he went to hell, I'm not happy about that, guys. I'm really sad, but Christopher Hitchens most likely is in hell right now. Think about that. So shocking is that his brother Peter Hitchens has renounced his atheism. Peter was an atheist also and is now a Christian.
This is just completely and utterly false because it's known that both Peter Hitchens and Christopher Hitchens were on different sides of this discussion. Peter Hitchens believed in God prior to his brother developing cancer and passing away. So I don't understand why you're sitting there and either lying or you're just so woefully mistaken that you just don't understand that Peter Hitchens did not become a Christian because Christopher Hitchens died. Yeah, you're also definitely an asshole for talking about Christopher Hitchens burning in hell. I'm fairly certain that if he were around, he'd just laugh at you. It always gets me when Christians are like, he's burning in hell, but, I didn't want that for him. Tried to talk some sense into him, or some shit like that. But I'm just saying, Shock of God, fucking educate yourself.
Peter Hitchens made the wise decision. We're going to show you, unfortunately, that Christopher Hitchens, according to Scripture, was a fool.
And I've begun saying this, that if your definition of a fool is not just immediately believing in God, regardless of what convinces us, just believing in God just because you think I need to believe in God, if that makes me a fool, then I'm perfectly fine with you in your book calling me a fool.
Now, But Hitchens used to ask that question all the time. Tell me one thing that I can do now that I can't do now. I guarantee you Hitchens is not an atheist any longer.
See, that's just a shitty thing to say that you don't have to say. And you say that, oh, I hate that he's burning in hell. But I feel like in order to say those things, you have to be somewhat happy about that particular situation because now he believes in God, right? These types of Christians they grate on me a little bit. I try not to let them get to me, but I mean, that's just a shitty fucking thing to say. All right, let's get into his arguments, which it's not just zombies, it's also other arguments. He spends a little time on the zombies.
Let's start off with number one. They'll say, well, Jesus is a zombie. You believe in a zombie. There are no such things as zombies. Isn't it interesting that atheists say that Jesus is something that doesn't even exist? It's pretend. Zombies are pretend. And so they'll say Jesus, who is an actual historical person, Bart Ehrman, who's an atheist, he has walked away from God. Even he admits that Jesus Christ is a historical person, not a zombie. Richard Dawkins admits that Jesus Christ is a historical person, not a zombie. We're going to go through these real quick and then I'll come back.
Okay, so regardless of whether or not he was a historical person, which obviously I disagree with that assessment, but regardless of that, the story of Jesus would be similar to a zombie. I know a lot of people have said that he's more like a lich, let's see, meaning corpse. It's a type of undead creature. Liches are depicted as being clearly cadaverous, bodies desiccated and completely skeletal, or completely skeletal. Liches are often depicted as holding power over hordes of lesser undead creatures, using them as soldiers and servants. I think that would also fit the Jesus figure. I mean, obviously we're talking about a legendary and mythological story figure. As far as we understand it from like the Gospels, that's a mythological figure, right? The fact that we're calling him a zombie, or at least comparing him to these fantastical creatures, I mean, that has no bearing on whether or not he was a historical person. So bringing that up is just ridiculous. Zombie or lich, I think both of those would be able to describe what happened to Jesus after he supposedly died. He resurrected from the dead. Of course, in Christian theology now, it's understood that he had a whole new body that was made by God, and it's going to be the same resurrected bodies that we have after Jesus comes again and Judgment Day and all this other stuff. Theologically, it's a little different, but what we would call somebody that was dead and decaying and then coming back to life in the same body that he had, or something like that, would be a lich or zombie. So yeah, I think that would be a good analogy. I'm not saying that that's definitely what he was, because it's a mythological story.
So when you really think about it, the closest thing to a zombie is an atheist. Jesus said that one time Jesus was walking along and he told one of the people that were following him, hey, look, follow me, come walk with me, follow my teachings. And the guy said, well, let me first go bury my dad. It doesn't mean that the dad just died, but the dad's getting up there in age, most likely. And he's like, oh, look, once my dad's dead, then I'll come follow you. And Jesus said these words, which at first seem kind of insensitive. He says, look, let the dead bury their own dead. So according to Jesus Christ, he looks at people that are unsaved as they're dead in their sins. They're not living. They're literally like the walking dead. They're like zombies.
So I don't know what your definition of a zombie is. If it's just whatever in the fuck you recited from the Bible, which I didn't think to look up as to whether or not it's actually in the Bible that he says this, but you're saying that if we don't believe in Jesus or believe in God, then we are dead inside. And we're basically zombies that are walking around that are already dead. I really don't think that that's what a zombie is, even by any kind of definition. It's something that was living and then came back to life after the initial death. It comes back magically, basically, or in some populations popular culture now, you have a virus that reanimates the body after death and all this other stuff, or a virus that takes over parts of the brain that causes the body to get up and walk around and everything like that. But the point is, the zombie is still like decaying. I really don't think that atheists, even on your weird skewed view of this, would really be zombies. Now, I don't regularly call Jesus a zombie unless I'm trying to be funny about it. Of course, Zombie Jesus Day, that's the day when Jesus came back to life. We generally have fun with it, but it's more like a cathartic thing for atheists to make fun of a belief that we once had. To me, it seems so ridiculous to wholeheartedly believe in a Jew resurrecting. I don't know. It feels like you're picking this argument out that's not really an argument. It's just really a funny, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a funny statement. Anyways, it's just a funny thing to say. It's not an argument against anything.
If anyone's a zombie, if there was anything like that, like a Walking Dead person, it would be atheist.
Which is funny because in The Walking Dead, the people that are the Walking Dead are the ones that are still alive because they're infected with the virus. And no matter what, when they die, they'll come back, right? It's not because they are dead or are zombies. It's just that they're infected.
So let's go to the next one. This next one's very good. There's a friend of mine on YouTube named Micah. And Micah called into the Atheist Experience show, and he gave them this argument, and he totally destroyed atheism.
Okay.
Right, but based on what you're telling me, is
Okay.
what I'm saying. Based on what we both agree on, actually.
Okay.
So, but based on what we both agree on and what you just told me, the origin of life when non-living material became living is not science.
No,
And it
that's
couldn't
not.
be even supernatural.
You didn't listen to a
No.
word I said, did you?
And he basically called up the Atheist Experience show, and he said, do you believe that life came from non-life?
No, it doesn't take atheism or somebody that accepts or that lacks a belief in a God to accept abiogenesis. You could be a theistic evolutionist that believes that maybe God, started the chemical process that produced life and had abiogenesis working. That's not an atheist thing. Another thing is that when you say something dead then became alive, that's more like the zombie that you're talking about. But also, I would say that the inorganic chemicals were not dead because you have to once be living in order to become dead. So it's not that we think that dead things turned into living things, it's that inorganic things turned into organic things. I feel like this is just a symptom of your fundamentalist Christian ideas. So I guess I can let it pass almost, but I mean, you're just simply wrong about what abiogenesis is, what it means to be an atheist, because atheism doesn't require you to do anything other than just lack a belief in a God.
So atheists claim that life came from non-life. Something living came from something that's dead. That's what atheists believe. Now, we've never, ever, under any circumstances, have we witnessed that. Okay? We've never seen life come from non-life. That's a faith-based statement.
It's not a faith-based statement because it doesn't require faith to accept that. For one thing, it is a natural process that would have brought about life, and abiogenesis is that process. We have also done experiments where we have shown that like amino acids can naturally occur in nature given the right set of conditions. We've also shown how these same amino acids can self-order. We've shown multiple independent steps of the abiogenesis process, the process by which life came to arise on Earth. So it doesn't take a faith-based position. It just takes you Googling shit and learning shit for like 30 minutes on a Wednesday. That's all that it takes. So you wanting to sit there and act like it's a faith-based position, just like Frank Turk does and all the other dipshit apologists out there do. But it literally takes no faith, because you don't need faith when you have scientific evidence to reassure you that this is not just some body's opinion or just something that somebody thinks. It's a proven thing that has happened.
But Matt Dillahunty said, well, yes, they believe that life came from non-life, and he admitted that we've never seen that happen.
But he says that Matt Dillahunty admitted that we've never seen abiogenesis. And I mean, regardless of whether or not Matt Dillahunty actually agreed to that, we have never seen the complete process of abiogenesis happen from start to end. But that's okay. Regardless of that, we do have all of the pieces together to paint this picture of abiogenesis that reassures us that this is a process that has happened in the past because we have living organisms now.
So then Micah said on the call, it was absolutely brilliant. He said, if you believe that life can come from non-life, how can you deny the resurrection?
Okay, how can I deny the resurrection after that? Very easy. The resurrection is a magical fucking event. Abiogenesis is not. That's how I can still deny the resurrection. If you don't like the word magical, I understand. It's a supernatural event. It requires a suspension of the natural order of reality in order for it to happen. You also have to presuppose a bunch of shit before you even get to the resurrection, but let's put that on the to-do list for like maybe next time or something. It's a supernatural event that requires the suspension of reality, whereas abiogenesis follows the laws of reality or follows this underlying nature or fabric of reality, and it adheres to its rules. And so there's no need for faith. There's no need for magic or supernatural intervention. It's like night and day. They're not even different sides of the same coin. They're completely different fucking coins. You have one coin over here that's like Lord Farquaad and Shrek on one side, and then you've got like an actual quarter in the other.
I mean, think about it. If you are going so far as to saying that life can come from non-life, then the resurrection is totally real.
No. I would agree that it's possible that it happened in the past, but possible does not mean probable. You still have to overcome the fact that we have never had any supernatural thing happen in reality that we can verify as supernatural or a suspension of the natural order of reality. We've never had that in the past. So you have a really big hill to get over in order to start convincing people that your resurrection is plausible. Is it possible? Sure, technically anything's possible, I guess, but it's not plausible due to the prior probability of it not happening because it requires this suspension of the natural order of reality.
After all, you're admitting that life can come from non-life. And if Jesus was not alive in the tomb after he was crucified, you yourself, atheist, you must admit that life can come from non-life.
He's got a list of like 16 fucking things that he covers in his video. It's originally like an hour long. And, but he looks down and you'll notice that he's not wearing pants. He's wearing shorts and he's reading from a list as he's riding on a bike. This is not the safest motherfucker to be around on a bike. He's not even getting the theology of Christianity correct, because the theology of Christianity isn't that Jesus died, sat in a tomb for 3 days, rotted, and then was like healed and then, walked out of the tomb or anything like that. The theology of Christianity is that he had a new physical body that was a resurrection body that's just like his old body, except it's like new and created new by God. And so, I mean, he's not even getting the Christian theology right. He's boiling it down to this idea that inorganic or dead, which still, I don't know if ShockOfGod knows this. I'm just now realizing this, but abiogenesis, what he says that atheists claim is inorganic turning into organic. He's saying dead become alive. That's not abiogenesis. I mean, that's that lich or zombification. He's just incorrect all over the place with this entire analogy here, or even why atheists should accept the resurrection because of abiogenesis.
You cannot say, if you're an atheist, that the resurrection is impossible.
That was not my cut. That was his cut. I don't know what the fuck happened. Maybe he ran over a squirrel or something. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that he ran over a squirrel on the bike. I'm just saying we don't know what happened. Don't fact check me on that.
After all, you believe that life came from non-life.
Shit. Man, could you not fucking look down at your crotch while you're riding a crotch rocket? Like going fucking, I don't know how fast he's going. I can't really tell. I think that might be like 55 miles an hour or something like that. Don't take your eyes off the road while you're on a fucking bike. I know, I have a bike. KC doesn't want me to ride it.
Think about that. So, if you believe life came from non-life, then basically, let me downshift here. Basically, you cannot say that the resurrection of Jesus Christ is impossible.
No, well, I mean, I don't know if no atheist says that, but I know that I don't think that it's impossible, because that's choosing a probability of absolute zero. I think that it's not absolute zero, but I do think it's very, very implausible. I feel like at every single point, this guy is just misrepresenting the atheist position as well as his own theology. Well, that's it for his video tonight. I really appreciate you guys joining me. If you will, smash that like button. If you haven't already, do that right now. Just smash it with your fist. No, really, just do it with your mouse. Click like, smash the subscribe, or click the subscribe button. Definitely subscribe, because I've got great content that's coming out. It's all new shit too. I guarantee you, religious people have new shit every single day. They have new videos. They don't have new shit. But definitely subscribe. Come back next Friday, and I guess that I'll be seeing you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, all that kind of good shit. Bye, heathens.